5:02 p.m. I will call the meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen of Wednesday, June 9th, 2021. In accordance with Governor Ned Lamont's Executive Order 7B, Section 1, which suspends the opening meeting requirements of in-person participation. Audio and video of this regular meeting is being simultaneously televised on WGAT TV and YouTube at WGAT 79 in order to allow the public to view and listen to our meeting. And I would just respectfully ask everyone who's not speaking to please remember to mute yourself until you're ready to talk. It just eliminates some of the background noise. Thank you. I'm now just going to call everyone's attendance. I can see you all, I think, so you can just raise your hand. Now have to search for your unmute button. First of all, Deputy First Selectman Miko Cardozo is here. Joe Crisco, he's here. Joe Dye.
Here.
He can't raise his hand. He's on the phone. Sorry, Joe. Beth Heller is here. Dwight Rowland and Sandy Stein. Wonderful. Administrative Officer, Director of Finance, Tony Genovese. Thank you. Assistant Administrative Officer, Betsy Yagla. Thank you. Town Council, Jerry Weiner.
Here.
Thank you. And Geraldine Shaw is with us, Clerk. I know she's here. And Media Specialist, Pua Ford. And with that, we will begin the meeting. Item 1 on the agenda is the First Selectman's remarks. Thank you very much. I will begin this evening with a point of personal privilege. This is the final regular Board of Selectmen meeting with our current board members, and I thank you all for your service to our town. It has been my honor and my privilege to serve with each of you, and I will miss you all. We have weathered some challenging events over the years, and most importantly, protected our residents and guided them safely through a devastating pandemic. I have prepared, with the help of Mrs. Shaw, a citation for each of you, which we will deliver to you in person at a later date. I will read one of them, but offer them to Deputy First Selectman Mika Cardozo, Selectman Joe Dye, Selectman Dwight Rowland, and Selectman Sandy Stein. In non-COVID days, I would reach out and have you come to the front of the room and give you each a hug. I do wish you all the very best and encourage you to stay involved in our town. I will continue to welcome your suggestions and your visits. And we couldn't do the wooden plaques because we have budget issues. However, this is what it will look like with a cover, and you can frame it any way you like. And I will read Joe's because he's the longest standing member leaving us. It's an official citation from the Office of the First Selectman. This one says to Joseph S. Dye III, in recognition of his service as a member of the Woodbridge Board of Selectmen from 2013 to 2021, given this 9th day of June, 2021, with the official seal and signed by me. So this is it, and you will each have one. And I want to clap. Thank you very much, all of you. So these are I'll get them back to Jerry Shaw. Thank you so much for everything. I'll put them away safely.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
You are most welcome. Really, my honor and my privilege. I'll say it again. Thank you. I'm ad-libbing a little here. Okay. I have good news about the pandemic. According to our regional health district, Quinnipiac Valley Health Department, more than 70% of Woodbridge residents have received at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. However, that does not mean we should let down our guard. It is important to remember that many people will not be vaccinated for health or other reasons, and that children under age 12 are not yet vaccinated. Just recently, there was an 8th grade party at the middle school that was held indoors due to weather. A student at the event tested positive, and the entire 8th grade is now quarantined. I'm very optimistic about getting back to normal, but we are not out of the woods yet. That said, currently the governor's executive order regarding virtual meetings is set to expire on June 30th. If it is renewed, then I will ask that boards and commissions discuss among themselves if they prefer to meet in person or continue online. Those that wish to meet in person can do so beginning July 1. If the order is not renewed, then all meetings will begin in person on July 1. Masks and social distancing will be required, and meetings will be held in rooms that allow for social distancing and proper ventilation. Once we know more about in-person meetings, we will rearrange our custodian schedule to have someone on the staff in the evenings and update board and commission members and staff. That will also allow us to welcome back local organizations looking to hold evening meetings in town buildings. I'm going to address the recent annual town meeting. Over the past 4 years as first selectman, I believe I have endeavored to encourage participation from all residents in our government process. What happened on Wednesday evening, June 2nd, should never happen again. Rather than a civil discourse that night prior to the beginning of the meeting, certain individuals chose to approach me, shout at me, and spit on me as they were yelling and screaming at me without a mask on. What does this behavior hope to accomplish? As the meeting opened, residents began shouting disrespectfully at the moderator and our volunteer members of the boards of selectmen and finance. Does shouting, bullying, or yelling rude comments out of turn make these people feel more important? Quite frankly, for the first time since July 2017, I felt physically threatened. To seek to reduce the mill rate to a flat level is a proper and valid agenda item, but these discussions with town residents should have begun months earlier. To come to a town meeting with the goal of voting down the entire budget at the end of the process with no constructive suggestions is pointless grandstanding. Intimidation without substance is not a part of our small d democratic process. The first motion made by a resident that evening was to eliminate the entire Board of Selectmen budget. What would that have accomplished? If it had passed, it would have removed the salary for the first selectman, removed the salary for administrative assistant Mrs. Shaw, removed the salary for assistant administrative officer Betsy Yagla, removed the salary for our senior clerk, Tony Belinsky, part-time blight officer, and reduced finance director administrative officer Tony Genovese's salary by half. Who would have been left to continue the day-to-day operations of the town? This potentially would have stopped payments for all legal fees, all labor negotiation fees, our census taker stipend, all town meeting supplies, printing and mailing costs for the board, paper supplies, and our regional services that we rely on, such as membership in the town Southern Connecticut Regional Council of Governments, our economic partner Rex, and the Connecticut Council of Municipalities. Clearly, the consequences of this obstruction action were not thought out. Would it be then necessary for the state of Connecticut to come in and run the town once the administration was eliminated? What would happen to our coveted AAA Moody's rating? What would be the financial implications? Woodbridge would be an embarrassment in the state. Thankfully, our town charter does not allow a motion to reduce an entire department's budget. The next motion was to eliminate the salary for the first selectman or the CEO of the town. This motion did indeed fail. As the evening progressed, residents respectfully asked their questions and made their comments, which was both welcome and wonderful. And then I think folks began to realize that minimal reductions to line items was not going to get us to a flat mill rate. Questions like those are welcome and necessary, but should be asked during the 8-month budget process, which is always open to the public, or at the preliminary budget hearing in April, which then always allows for dialogue and discussion, as well as possible budget changes. Moving forward, I would ask that all Woodbridge residents attend the budget meeting discussions early in the process. Beginning next fall, start at the board or commission level. Voice your ideas and suggestions to these boards who submit their requested budgets to the boards of selectmen and finance. Or send me or the Board of Finance Chairman Matt Giglietti or Tony Genovese an email or phone us with your thoughts and ideas. As I have stated in every newsletter, every news column, and every e-news blast, I would remind those who are unhappy that my door has been and is always open. Please reach out to me or others in government. I have made my cell phone public, and it is a priority of mine to reply to all residents who contact me. I value everyone's input. Please work with us instead of against us. We in Woodbridge are better than what was reflected last week. The appearance of a group of disruptive, mean-spirited, angry, ill-informed, unable or unwilling residents to behave in a civil manner is not who we are. It's okay to disagree, but it's not okay to be disagreeable. We weathered a pandemic together and made it through. Let's begin to work with each other and with a renewed goal of listening to each other and treating each other with respect and kindness. And that will move on to item 2 on the agenda, Woodbridge Board of Education, Superintendent Dr. Jonathan Budd, and I see he is here. Welcome, Jonathan.
Hi, Beth, and hi, everybody. It's good to see you.
Welcome. It's good to be seen.
I want to highlight One is that we are ending on June 21st, an outstanding year in 2020, 2021 at Beecher Road School. It is a very unusual year. It has been marked by contact tracing, by some students learning at home, by a much longer year than we anticipated because we had to start a little bit later. But what is really vital is the great spirit of Beecher Road School. And that comes from a community, a board of selectmen, a board of finance, etc., that support our system. So on behalf of all the hardworking staff, the hardworking parents and guardians, and the hardworking students, I thank you. And we should be in a position to report by June 30th, a modest surplus, to have discussions about returning some to the town because we have a responsibility to also help our town because it helps us so much. And then I'm also pleased to tell you that we're planning an even better 2021-22. We have a reopening committee, which is a safe return to in-person instruction committee. And Sandy continues to be the Board of Selectmen's representative on that committee. And next Tuesday afternoon from 4 to 5:30, we're having a committee meeting with public input for any member of the public who'd like to come, hear details of the plan, give us your feedback, and within the considerations put forth by the State Department of Education, we will take that feedback into consideration. So we have great things for next year. Probably for all of you who were here, and I was not here, but for all of you who were here in August, it probably may have felt at some points like we would never start the year, much less finish it. And I'm here to tell you we're finishing it on a great foot, thanks to all of you and so many others in Woodbridge. So thanks again for all you help us with.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Great year at the end. Wonderful. We all made it through together. Anyone have any comments or questions for Dr. Budd? No? Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Item 3, good night and have a good evening. Item 3 on the agenda is Dr. Scarlatta. He's requesting permission to complete archaeology research at the Osborne site along Bladens River, and action is appropriate on that. You have in your packet a copy of his request. He's seeking, the last 2 years they've been doing research at the Osborne site, as I said, and we have in your packet a copy of his recent supplementary report of 2020 excavations of the Osborne site, which will be part of the minutes and the permanent record. He's asking this evening for the opportunity to request permission to from the Woodbridge Board of Selectmen to finish the research this year. I don't know if Dr. Scarlatta, you'd like to just give a very brief presentation to the board, and then we will move from there.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, there's a bit of an echo on my end.
Sorry. I must have another event open. I can't.
Is everyone else hearing the echo?
Yes.
Okay. So I think in lieu of perhaps the report.
I think Beth, I think I'm taking care of the echo.
Okay, let's try it again.
Okay, so can you hear me?
Yep, we got it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thanks,
I
Jerry.
probably had
Okay.
two more. Yeah, the research was spurned because a hiker hiking along the Bladens River Trail found a point. They brought it to my attention, and it appears to be a late ice age point indicative of some of the first people to come over into the New World. The last 2 summers, I did some brief research. The point was actually eroded from a gully, but it was pretty obvious where it, had eroded from. So the last 2 years, I just did some research locating the site where we believe the point came from, and it's a appropriate, looks like Paleolithic site, and then establishing the density of artifacts, the boundaries of the site, and where artifacts are densest. The site is pretty small, and so I'd like to just be able to draw some final conclusions. And I stated that on my supplementary report that either we're going to find the diagnostic artifacts, we'll find something as evidence from another period, or given the site is small, we're going to get a very large sample size really quickly. And, once you've got a large enough sample, there's no use going on forever. We may conclude that because of the nature of the site, it seems to be a small tool manufacturing area. We might not get that. We might not be able to draw a conclusion. But, we one way or another, we can provide closure for the research. And what we did find is now on record.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. To move things along, I will make a motion, then we can ask questions and have a discussion should you require one. I will make a motion that we grant permission to Dr. Scarlata to finish the research this year. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dwight. Any questions for Dr. Scarlata or any observations or comments on this? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, please. All in favor. Oh boy. All in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye.
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 I think we have everybody. Do we have Joe Dye too?
Aye. Yep. Aye.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, wonderful. That is unanimous. Thank you very much. Keep us informed, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Have a good evening now. Thank you. Item 4 on the agenda is the liaison reports. I will call on Mika Cardozo first, please.
Thank you, Beth. For the Recreation Commission, the chairman did thank the department for their continued commitment and dedication and creativity in terms of offering a number of programs and the different types of programs they offered, one of which was the scavenger hunt, of which 20 medallions had been returned. And now they've, the Smith Mowry in particular has re-hidden 18. So that, and there will be another email sent out letting the residents know that they're out there. And if they do find them, they can bring them in for a prize bag. Pool is open and it's doing well on the weekends. And they are looking into expanding more hours in the summertime. The camp personnel was voted on and approved for this coming summer. Camp starts on June 28th and CDC regulations will be followed. The tent from the former Country Club of Woodbridge will be going up at the North Basketball Court at Beecher Road, and that the cost has been allocated for that to go up. It'll be a one-time cost because the canvas or the covering will be removed in the bad weather in the winter and then restored. So once it's up, the frame stays up. Summer concerts will commence again in July, the 4 Tuesdays in July, and they're looking to have at least 2 food trucks at each of the concerts. And the fitness center is looking to be opened again for 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursday evenings. Let's see, tennis courts are being used. There's a lot of activity there. Pickleball is getting more and more popular. Programs are all running very well, and Dave Smith and Dave Cohen are supervising the outdoor programs. And so far, the revenue has exceeded last year's numbers in terms of the overall by about 108% of where they were last year. They did review the recreation budget, which was cut about $100,000 from what they originally had submitted to finance, and the budget from this year for the new fiscal year is about $20,000 less than what it was in 2019 prior to COVID. And Center Gym is not open yet. There's no custodian, so they're not opening it yet. And that's it for recreation. Sorry, I'm not hearing anyone.
Is there another, that's it?
No.
Just recreation? Okay, all right, thank you so much. I was waiting in case we had another one. Okay, thank you very much. Joe Crisco, please.
Yes, good evening. On the past Monday, June 7th, Planning and Zoning had a 3-hour meeting in regards to multifamily housing, and they approved the following motion: where there is public water and sewer system, a permit is needed, and where there isn't public water or sewer, then a site plan is needed, and that was approved. And so the two motions were adopted, and now they go forward after considerable deliberations. That's the end of the report.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, what do we got now? Sorry, Dwight Rowland, I'm looking on the screen. Dwight.
Yep, good evening. I attended the inland wetlands meeting on May 19th. And there were a few things, 15 Meadowcrest Circle, the motion was approved, and see that application's okay. That was approved by the commission. 1225 Johnson Road. There is additional information required on drainage from the engineer, and they will take that up in June. 481 Amity Road, there was an application for a 10 by 18 shed on the property. Chris K. Sullivan was required to review that on site with the homeowners. Under old business, 15 and 21 Wolf Tree Drive were put on hold, and they will be talked about in June. This is one of the projects that's been delayed like three or 4 months, but hopefully they are getting close to a resolution. 22 Rimmon Road, that was approved, and Chris Sullivan was asked to supervise the plantings that are going on that site. And 170 Center Road, they are planting some maple trees, red maple trees that were inadvertently removed, and there was a $1,000 bond that was asked to be held on that. And that's it for wetlands. And I was not able to attend a human services meeting on Monday. Mackenzie graduated from 8th grade on Monday, and even though it wasn't really a special ceremony, we all thought we were going to see, because of the COVID, but we were able to celebrate afterwards, and it was nice, and it was a special occasion. So, and I reached out to the commission members, and I thanked them very much for allowing me to be with their commission, part of their commission. I got some really nice emails back, so it was good. It's good, and they do a lot for the community. I don't think a lot of people really understand what they really do. Okay, not only for the seniors, but also the youth within our community. So I recognize them for that too. So, and we all should.
Yep. Thank you so much, Dwight. That's great. Yeah, congratulations. Right, exactly, to Mackenzie. Okay, who have I? Sadie Stein, sorry.
I don't have anything to add to Dr. Budd's report from the Board of Education, and the Library Commission has not met yet this month. They meet next Monday, so I don't have a report from them. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. And Joe Dye.
Yes, hello, Beth. Thank you. No reports this month.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. We have several public comments, even though it's not 6 o'clock. I guess I can do them now, right? Because they're all emails.
Correct.
That's all right.
You can do it now. Okay,
thank you very much. So we have received as of 3 o'clock, and they were sent out 3 p.m. today or 4 p.m., whatever the deadline was. Mrs. Shaw collected 13 emails. They are listed. I list the names. They were all related to the cell tower, requesting that the Board of Selectmen continue to help fight, I guess, for lack of a better word, the project and do all we can to help them. You have them all in your packet. They are also part of the minutes and the permanent record. So if anyone would like to read them individually, they're more than welcome to ask for them. And I do believe everyone and the Board of Selectmen did get a copy of these up till this afternoon. We heard in opposition Norman and Patricia Bender, David Blumenthal, Ethan Twin, Mark and Shelley Greengarden, Greg and Kyoto Karwowski, Karen Kassab, Rebecca Kusinitz. I guess her last name is her email comes from Kusinitz, but it's Del Ripple. Randy and Marie Luciano, Timothy Mulhern. There was an email sent from James Napoli on behalf, signed by James Zarena, so we tried to get that directly. Penelope Sampoli, Mitchell Smook, and Craig and Nancy Sklar. And I hopefully got them all right. And as I said, they were all not. We will be discussing, for those in the public, we will be discussing that in open session, this matter further along under the town council's report this evening, item 12. So I'm just acknowledging the emails at this point as part of public comment. Thank you with that. My next question is, Jerry, the public hearing. It's due for 6:30, but there's no in-person attendance. So my question is, can I go forward and ask if there is anything from the public as part of that?
Yes, since there's no in-person comments, we can go forward.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we will go to item 6, public hearing to receive comments regarding the 2021 Neighborhood Assistance Act applications. And there's a script that I must read as part of this. In accordance with section 12-632 of the Connecticut General Statutes, the R.E. Van Nordstrom Neighborhood Assistance Act, and I now call the public hearing to order to receive comments on the applications received for the 2021 Neighborhood Assistance Act. The legal notice was published in the May 28th, 2021 edition of the Woodbridge Town News and on the town website. First question is there a motion to waive the reading of the legal notice?
So moved.
Thank you, Joe. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. Please signify by saying aye if you approve of this motion to waive the reading. Aye.
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 Thank you. And I believe it's unanimous. There is no nay or abstentions. Correct. Okay. Are there any comments from the public present or sent in regarding the application from the Amity Teen Center at 10 Selden Street, requesting an energy efficient project of in the amount of $24,990, and also the Jewish Federation of Greater New Haven at 360 Amity Road, an update of the JCC's HVAC system in the amount of $150,000. There are no public comments here added. I now will ask the clerk if she has received any additional written comments or any emails up until this point.
I have not.
Thank you very much. Hearing none, I now declare this public hearing closed. I'm now going to make the following motion. I move to accept the following applications for the 2020 Neighborhood Assistance Act and forward them to the Department of Revenue Services for processing. Amity Teen Center, 10 Selden Street, and an energy efficient project in the amount of $24,900, and the Jewish Federation of Greater New Haven, 360 Amity Road, energy equipment restoration in the amount of $150,000. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. With that, I will now call, is there any further discussion? Sorry. Hearing none, I will call the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Yep.
Beth, I'm sorry. Just before we completed it, I just wanted to know if the public were to join us, at 6:30, will we give them an opportunity to say something at that time?
Of course.
Yeah, yes, we can go, but Mika, we can go back if somebody does come in on 6:30, but I don't know if they can, because I don't think you can phone in on this, but absolutely, yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mika. Sandy, did you have something? Okay, sorry, I saw you raise your hand. I just want to make sure I didn't lose you. Okay, thank you. So we have a motion and a second. I think no other comments. With that, I will call the question. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you, public. That is done. Moving along, oh, my dear friend, Administrative Officer, Director of Finance, Tony Genovese, you're up.
Thank you, Beth.
You're welcome.
I have a monthly report for you through May of 2021, and it's a projected surplus of $410,000, and that leaves us with just about a $10,000 increase to our fund balance, because in our budget we allocate $400,000 from our fund balance to balance the budget. So that leaves us with a 13% annual fund balance of our 13% of our annual expenditures. So we're
Outstanding.
well
Very
there.
good. Thank you. Good job.
And one reason for the uptick there is that we received some back tax collections, and our tax collector is working hard collecting those back taxes, and so we have a surplus now in taxes of about $70,000. That's projected.
Good job, Pat Briscoe. Have
Yep.
to say it. Thank you.
So good job to Pat for keeping on that and making sure that we get that collected. Secondly, our intergovernmental revenue is a surplus of about $143,000. Most of that is from the coronavirus funds, about $75,000 of it. We did get a surplus in special education excess cost funds of $55,000, and additional $23,000 in ECS. So in addition to the grant funding for the coronavirus, we had some additional education funding that came in as a surplus to our budget. Our investment income continues to experience. Yes.
Can I ask you a question? In the comments, the description for the intergovernmental revenues, in that second line, you say fiscal year 2021 primarily due unused coronavirus relief.
Right. So I could explain that. We had about, when I say unused, I mean unused in 2021. In other words, it was a reimbursement from a 2020 expenditure, but in 2021, we applied some of that funding to various items. There's some cleaning in the firehouse. There were a few things we had to use that grant funding for.
Okay.
So that was what was left.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Our investment income has a deficit of $140,000. That continues to not perform well. Another turnaround is our charge for services, which is now at a slight surplus of $30,000. We had an anticipated shortfall that is a little lower in transfer station fees, just about $100,000. That was originally projected a little higher. In addition, our town clerk fees, building permits, rec fees, all continue to do well. We should have a surplus of town clerk fees of about $25,000 and $60,000 in building permit fees, which are doing very well the last few months. And rec fees, as indicated earlier, programming has started, and we have a surplus in recreation fees. So our charge for services are starting to rebound after the coronavirus. So that's good news. And finally, our transfers in for our private duties probably have a deficit of about $65,000. That's a pass-through, and you will see a corresponding surplus in our benefits line, because those funds pay for benefits as it relates to $20,000. There's various reasons for that, including the private duty issue mentioned earlier, some healthcare savings, and some savings due to the whenever you have a savings, a surplus in a wage account, you have corresponding savings in FICA and Medicare and some of the other matches that we have to pay. Finally, the Board of Education is reporting a surplus of $29,000. At least that was when I did this report, that was their surplus at that time. So, considering all the unknowns that we went into this year with, we're doing very well, in my opinion.
It's an amazing result, Tony. It's like I'm blown away.
I know.
How did this happen?
Tony, I give you a lot of credit for really keeping an eye on things, down to the penny every minute. And I know you've been really great at keeping things going and under control. Obviously, wasn't very fast.
All the department heads were very cooperative.
That was my next comment.
Yeah.
Ditto.
Right.
Everybody really stepped up and kept an eye on things, and if they saw something coming, they let you know or tried to find money in their budget. When we get into the evening further, we'll see that there was a lot of light item transfers. They did the best thing they could to find money within their budget. So it was really kudos to everyone. Thank you. Anyone have any other comments or questions for Tony on the monthly report? Okay, we'll move on to funding requests. Just flip my chair. Sorry, 1 second. First one I think we have is line item transfer number 2021-26 in the amount of $13,500. I'll move acceptance of that line item. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. And maybe if Tony, is there anything really to add? It's fairly specific related to dead and dying trees, which we've been hearing about for a while.
Right. Warren is here to, if you have any questions specifically for Warren, he is actually here waiting to discuss the paving contract.
Okay.
So, but it's because Woodbridge has a lot of trees. Warren always has trees that he needs to address, and the budget just wasn't sufficient this year to cover the amount of trees that he has. So whenever he feels he has some extra surplus funds, that's his goal, is to apply them to remove hazardous trees.
That's great. He found it in highway maintenance sand this time, transferring it to his contracted service. So that's really good. So thank you. Is there any other comments or discussions or questions for Warren? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second, I believe. I'll call the question. All in favor of approval, please signify by saying aye.
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 I think we've got everybody. Joe's out there. Yep, just heard his voice. Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you, guys. Next one is line item transfer number 2021-27 in the amount of $13,000 to cover the shortfall in the electrical and natural gas accounts in the center building budget. And Tony, I'll let you explain this.
So in this particular instance, the budget just wasn't high enough for either of those, and we had a similar issue last year, so which we had to cover. So in next year's budget, I actually increased the count for both of those, so we shouldn't have that issue anymore. It's just simply we didn't budget enough, and it's pretty much that.
Anyone like to make a motion that we approve this line item transfer, please?
So moved.
Okay, Joe, is there a second?
Second.
Thanks. Great. Or Dwight, I don't know who did first. Thank you. Any other comments or questions on this? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed or nays? Motion passes. Next item, request for funding number 2021-28A in the amount of $10,000 and line item transfer 2021-28B in the amount of $20,000. Legal fees, it's pretty clear in this that the town faced an unusual amount of legal activity this year, including the proposed cell tower, Amity Turf Field, and the Open Communities Alliance application. So with that, I will move acceptance. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions on this? The money's coming out of contingency, the 10,000, and the 20,000 is coming out of part-time clerical regional services, printing and binding. We found little bits and pieces. Thank goodness, Tony, for keeping an eye on that in those accounts. So it does add up to $30,000.
I was keeping an eye on those accounts throughout the year because I had a feeling this was going to happen.
Good job. Oh, kudos again. I think we have a motion in a second. Do we? Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone have any other comments? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays or abstentions? Hearing none, passes unanimously. Few others added on here. Let's see, we have a request for a line item transfer number 2021-29 in the amount of $7,000 to purchase ammunition for mandated training. This is from Police Chief Cappiello, and the money is coming from, again, it's a line item transfer within his budget from the uniform line item to professional development training. I'll make a motion that we approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comments, questions, or discussion on this one? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. Any nays or abstentions? Passes unanimously. Okay, we got that one done. Is there another one? Yeah, there's another
Yes,
one.
the taser.
Yep, I got it. Yeah, I got it. Line item, sorry, not flipping fast enough. Quick tonight. Line item transfer number 2021-30 in the amount of $3,500 to request to replace 2 broken tasers. This is again a line item transfer within a budget from vehicle parts, tires, and oil and gas to capital machinery within the police department budget. Motion approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Joe. Any questions for Tony? I don't know anything about this stuff or comments on this.
Yeah.
Hearing none. I'll call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Oops, sorry. Any nays? Any abstentions? I believe it passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that all of them?
That's it.
Okay, great. Just didn't want to forget anything. Thank you very much. Moving on from funding request to request for bid waiver, road milling and pavement application state, and also with the state bid. There's a memo in your packet, which Warren is here, I guess, to discuss further. Should we have questions? This is a request to utilize the state of Connecticut bid award for services of Garrity asphalt reclaiming. We could talk about this after I go through these. The second one is to request utilizing state Connecticut bid award for pavement purchase and application. And lastly, I will just read out loud the proposed milling and overlay paving project for the folks in the audience. Millhaven Road, Inwood Road, from Short Road to Millhaven Road, Dillon Road, from Blue Trail Drive to Litchfield Turnpike, Prospect Road, Hampton Drive, Dickinson Drive, Richard Sweet Drive, from Coachman's Lane to Mapleville Drive, Baldwin Road, Orangetown Line to improvement match line near number 890, and Ford Road, Ansonia Road to Milan Road and Park Lane.
But
I think
Beth,
that's all.
one caveat on that is that depends on the escalation charges. The state contract has got escalation charges for oil, and there's some other charges related to, there's some other estimates related to measuring in on-site conditions. So to the extent that that has an impact on our budget, there may be some adjustments to that list. But that's the plan.
Thank you for that.
Again, going in.
That's a good heads up, just in case. Thank you. Good
Right.
to know. Before we begin the motions, does anyone have any comments or questions on any of this for Warren or for Tony or any of us?
Yeah, I'd like a question about line striping. Does this include line striping too?
There's a small amount allotted in my budget request for that. I don't know what roads that are going to require. There's very little striping as far as mileage goes, but usually when you do line striping, there's a flat price to have them come out. And I think I've got that covered in the budget.
Okay, because the reason I'm asking is because the Bond Road was paved and has never been striped. So
Bond Road will not get striped because it doesn't fit the criteria under the MUTCD criteria. The road is too narrow, and the type of striping that has to go on it, the road is not wide enough to accommodate the striping.
okay, because I've been asked a few times, from residents around that area. So that's the reason. So.
Well, a double line has to go down on the road, and the road's not wide enough. And
Okay.
from what I've been told, the road doesn't fit the criteria for a road that would have both traffic volume, speed, and width. It doesn't fit the criteria to have a stripe at all.
Okay, no, I just wanted to check because I've been asked that question, that's all.
Right, and I'm answering it. That's why it didn't.
That's fine, that's fine, okay.
Why, I just a stupid question probably, but why would it need double stripe versus single stripe? Would that accommodate it a little bit better or not?
Single stripe was an alternative that some municipalities chose to do for cost effectiveness.
You are?
I think a single stripe is not
Okay.
part of the programming under the painting guidelines. No road should have a single stripe on it.
Well, there you go. Asked and answered. Thank you. We tried. Okay, thank you. Anyone have any other comments or questions for Warren or any of us? Great. So I think we have to take these into two different motions, correct? Okay.
Yeah.
So I will make a motion of.
Hey, just,
Oh, yeah,
just one other thing.
sure.
Hey, Warren, are we gonna have to wait until the end of the summer for this to get done? Because normally this is like we're one of the last towns in the area to ever get, you know, accommodated with that asphalt, that's all.
Based on my bid waiver request, I've already contacted the vendors. And the work that all of the roads on this list is milling and resurfacing. I'm told by Garrity, which would be the requested vendor to do that work, they could come in August. Tilcon has advised me I would be on the schedule for September to resurface the roads. Previously, as you know, we've had delays which pushed us out. We would mill the roads or reclaim the roads typically around Labor Day, and we wouldn't get, the vendor kept pushing us off, a different vendor than Tilcon, and we wound up paving in November. That, I don't anticipate this to happen this year.
All right, I just checked, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, thanks. So I will make a motion that we utilize the State of Connecticut bid award number 20PSX0167 of the services of Garrity Asphalt Reclaiming for road milling as they are on the state contract. In the amount of the estimated cost of their service will be $116,000. Is that adequate enough? That's okay for a motion?
Yeah.
It's all in there. Okay, 70 seconds. Great. Okay,
Second.
thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. Any nays? Any abstentions? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, thank you. That passes. The second motion is to utilize the State of Connecticut bid award number 19PSX0261 for pavement purchase and application. This contract was extended by the State of Connecticut. This is for asphalt costs, which Tony did mention. We'll have to see if there's any increases. But estimated right now to be with Tilcon Connecticut as the designated contractor in the area, estimated at $530,000. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Sandy. Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? Hearing none, I think that passes unanimously as well. Thank you, Warren, for joining us this evening and for answering the questions. Anyone have anything else on this?
Oh, thank you, Warren, for staying on top of all this.
Thank you
Yes.
for hearing us.
You keep our roads in great shape. Thank you.
Good night.
Okay. Great. Let's see, we're up to 7D, I believe. I haven't forgotten anything. I sometimes do that. Another, Tony, do you have another?
I do have another other this time.
Okay, go for it. Thank you.
So I just thought it would be something that you all would be interested in concerning the Darling House, because it received a lot of attention over the years. The So the Amity Woodbridge Historical Society has received a grant for $10,000 to help to paint a portion of the Darling House. And as part of that grant, they will match and contribute from their own funds an additional $10,000. So that's $20,000. And total of the project is just under $25,000. And so their request is for the if the town can contribute the remainder, which we have in a budget, which is earmarked for work at the Darling House, and so would fit this criteria. It's for repainting portions of the front porch, front of the caretaker's cottage, and the front of the carriage house. So these are areas that had not been painted previously and are in desperate need of painting. And so that's their request. And so I just thought I'd let you know that that's something we had decided would be a good use of those funds.
Hey, Tony, Dwight, just real quick, does any of that need repair? Any of that or any of those areas that we would have to repair and whatever? And is that money included in those numbers?
Yeah, so it's part of that. It's cleaning, scraping, smoothing, filling, or any sort of filling gaps as necessary. Or let's see, I got a complete specification here. It does say that it doesn't include, it doesn't appear to include any large scale fixing, but it does include filling holes and filling gaps and anything that's required while they're painting. So, to answer your question.
And then if there are other items that come up, then I guess we'll address separately.
If there's any other major items.
Yeah, if there's a structural item like a column, all of a sudden when they do it, it's kind of rotten inside or whatever it is because it's been exposed or whatever, that would be separate.
Correct. It says any rot or insect damage that is encountered during the prep phase or repair or replacement of damaged areas is not included. So the society will have to cover that, I would imagine, themselves. But this does include covering any small areas that can be fine. Okay. All right, I just wanted to check. That's all. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I personally think it's a good use of the funds, and I'm glad that the Historical Society, approached whatever granting agency they received the money from, and that they're willing to match that. I will say, going forward, I do think that the Board of Selectmen has a responsibility to oversee that property. It is the town's property, and the Historical Society is the manager of that property. And I think that the Board of Selectmen needs to identify what the priorities are for the property and work with the Historical Society for them to address those issues. I don't think that the Board of Selectmen historically has done that, but that I suggest that that be considered going forward.
Thank you. This is money that was approved in the budget, correct, Tony?
Correct. Right. Yeah.
So it's going to happen. We don't have to motion to do it.
No, right. It was already approved in the budget process for that purpose.
Okay. I just want to make sure. So thank you for that. Thank you, guys. And we'll consider that. We got a new board coming July 1. We'll see how we go forward. Thank you. Thanks, Sandy. Okay, thank you so much. Anybody have any other comments or questions on that? Other. Okay, hearing none. Thank you so much. Moving on, item 8 is the approved cost of living increases for non-union personnel. Tony, maybe you could explain it, and then I have a prepared motion regarding that we do every year. I just want you to kind of discuss it for everybody and also the public. Thank you.
Sure. So in the budget process, the budget includes a cost of living adjustment for all union and non-union personnel. So it's 2.5%. It's part of the union negotiated contract, so that's included in the budget that was just approved. It's part of the union negotiated contracts that is already approved by the board. So there's two parts to when we have an increase for personnel. There's the funding piece, and then there's the authority to actually give the increase. Right? Just because there's funding in the budget doesn't mean somebody actually gets the increase until the board approves it. The board is the body that approves it. And we get audited on this all the time where they'll pick randomly, I don't know, 10 or 15 people, and they'll check to make sure that increases are authorized by the board. And so this motion is necessary to be able to give the cost of living adjustment to non-union personnel, because the union was approved 2 or 3 years ago when the contract was approved.
Okay, Sandy, you have any questions, or anybody have any questions?
No, I was just telling you that you were on mute.
I saw that. I gotta be quick. I'm not fast enough.
I don't have
I
any
can't wait till
questions.
we're in person and I don't have to hit the unmute mute button. Oh my gosh. Thank you. So I have the legally written that we do every year motion. If that's okay, if anyone has any questions for Tony beforehand, I'll just make this motion. Good for that? Okay. I will make a motion to approve the cost of living salary increase of 2.5% for non-union full-time and regular part-time employees listed on the payroll as of July 1st, 2021, in accordance with the compensation package for union employees as set forth in the agreement between the town of Woodbridge and AFSCME, spelled out, as to salary and fringe benefits. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Sandy. Any questions or discussions further? Hearing none, we have a motion, a second. I will call the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Any abstentions?
Abstention.
Oh, Joe, right. I understand why. His wife is a tax collector. Okay, very good. Thanks, Joe. Understood. So the motion passes 5-0-1 abstention. Thank you. Okay. We're now up to 9, Assistant Administrative Officers Report. You have in your packet an application to hold an event on town property, and I will turn it over to the lovely Betsy Yagla.
Thank you. So before we get to the event, I just have a few quick good news updates for all of you. Back in April, you granted approval for a local vendor, Cafe Rebelde, to sell hot and iced coffees in the Grove along with pastries. And I just heard from her today. She received her necessary permits from QVHD, and she has approval to go ahead and start selling. So starting let's see, later this month, she's planning to be there on Mondays and Thursdays from 9:30 a.m. to 12:30. It's kind of a pilot program to gauge the interest and figure out more realistically what her schedule should be like for the rest of the summer. So that'll be for 2 weeks. So June 14th, June 17th, June 21st, and June 24th, she will be out in the Grove from 9:30 to 12:30, just kind of getting a feel for what people want. This also means she will be able to join us at the community tag sale this Saturday, which is part of the second Saturday series. So the tag sale is Saturday from 10 to 1 in the library parking lot. We have 17 or 18 vendors, plus a pizza food truck, Cafe Rebelde, and lawn games. So I think it'll be a really fun event for people who are able to participate. Also in that series in July, there will be a Friends of the Library mini book sale outside the library. In August, there will be an art event. And in September, we are hosting a craft fair. And anyone interested in being a vendor at the craft fair is encouraged to go to the town website and sign up for that. Lastly, the dates and times have been settled for the live music in the Business District concert series. These concerts are possible thanks to an economic development grant from UI that I applied for. And since the town does not own any land in the business district, we are partnering with Coachman Square. They are hosting the events, and I'm doing all of the paperwork and helping to promote the events. I'm also working on finding local businesses that can serve as opening acts. So in June, we've got a dance studio, Simply Dance, that will be doing a brief performance at 12:30 prior to the 1 p.m. concert. And I'm working with our retail and restaurants to offer specials those days. So far, the retail vendors at at 245 Amity will be offering sidewalk sales, and Saloon is working on some specials that he can offer that day. And I'll be reaching out to other local businesses as well. The goal is really to capitalize on the additional foot traffic that we hope to see from the concerts and also expose our local businesses to new customers. So that's it for my report. The event that you all have before you is a request from the library. They're looking to hold a concert on the green at the gazebo. This was a concert originally scheduled for 2019 and it had to be rescheduled for a health reason. It was rescheduled to 2020 and it's being rescheduled again for COVID reasons. So third time's a charm. It's going to be on Thursday, August 19th, and it's a pretty straightforward request.
Anyone like to make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Is there a second? Okay,
Second.
thank you. And with that, does anyone have any questions about this event for Betsy before we call it? I hope it works. Third time is a charm, we hope. Thank you. Great. Okay, call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays or abstentions? Hearing none. Thank you, Betsy, for all your work. Thank the library for this, and we hope third time is indeed a charm.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I just want to publicly thank Betsy for all of her organizational work this past year to get all of these events coordinated and scheduled. I think that this will make a huge difference in terms of town residents having events to go to. It's collaboration with our local departments as well as other organizations in the town. So kudos to you, Betsy, for all the great work that you've done.
Thank you.
Ditto. Very good. Thanks, Sandy. That was well put. Thank you. Okay, we'll move along to item number 10, which is acknowledging the receipt of the town clerk's reports. They are in your packet. I'll make a motion for accepting them. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Joe. Any comments or questions on these reports? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Any abstentions? Thank you very much. Let's see, next is minutes. Sorry, I can't turn the pages fast enough here. Okay, I think we only have one set. Is that correct, Jerry? Jerry Shaw?
Thought I put 2 sets in there, but perhaps.
I have
the regular meeting, and then there's the.
I don't have May 19th in my packet, but that's okay. Anyway, I'll make a motion that we approve the May 12th, 2021 Board of Selectmen regular meeting minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comments, edits, changes, discussion on these minutes? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Any abstentions? Thank you. Maybe they're mixed in together. I can't tell.
Hey, Beth, it's the last page all the way in the back. On
Right.
May
Following the
19th.
presentation.
Oh,
Right.
okay, they're in. Okay, it says May. Thank you, Dwight. They were in here. They were just not under the tab that said May 19th. Sorry. I was
Sorry about that.
No, I think I might have moved them. You never know. You know me. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I did read them already. Okay, this is the Board of Selectmen special meeting related to the recessed annual town meeting of May 19th, 2021. Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
Approve.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second, anybody? Thank you, Dwight. I see your hand going up. Anybody have any comments or questions on these? Hearing none, I'll call the question. In favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you. And with that, we will move to the town council's report. Item 12, the first item on the agenda is to discuss the receipt of a petition regarding the sale of the CCW Clubhouse. We have in your packet a petition attached, just what the petition said, not all the signatures. from the town clerk stating that she verified 245 signatures. Jerry, I don't need to read the petition, do I?
No, but before we do this, Jerry Shaw, Ira Bloom is trying to get into the meeting because he's the next item on the agenda.
Yes, I see him. I'll bring him in.
Bring him in. Okay, great.
Do you want me to bring him in now or?
Yes, he can come in now.
Oh, all right. Very good.
Beth, I think that for the public record and for people who want to understand what the petition is about, perhaps it should be read.
I'm happy to do that.
You can read it, that's fine.
Hold on one sec. Thank you, getting dry. Okay, thanks. This particular copy we have is dated May 20th, 2021, received in the town clerk's office on June 1st, 2021, and signed in by the town clerk, Stephanie Charleglio. We, the undersigned residents and voters of the town of Woodbridge, respectfully petition that the following proposed lawful ordinance be enacted. And then it's in italics, an ordinance requiring the sale of the former CCW clubhouse and surrounding 5 acres of developed land for reuse as a restaurant and banquet facility, and the creation of a park of the remaining 147 acres to be protected in perpetuity as town-owned open space. And then there is below it a list for signatures. And then the person that is soliciting the signatures has to sign and date, put his or her address in Woodbridge, Connecticut, do solemnly affirm under pain and penalties of perjury that each person who has set their signature on this page has signed their name in my presence, and I either know such signer or that signer has satisfactorily identified themselves to me, and said signatures have been obtained within 6 months prior to the filing of this petition. And as I said, I believe Stephanie signified or signed in that there were 240 signatures. She verified. That's the word I wanted. Thank you. With that, I'll turn it over to Jerry.
Thank you, Beth.
So we received this about a week ago, and I've been looking at it. I've been doing a little bit of research. We're looking into the question of what the next steps are. It's a little unclear from the petition and the question there that as to whether they have a buyer, do they have a price in mind? But all those questions will be answered within the next week or so, and then we will make a decision as to whether this goes to a public hearing under our charter, and then ultimately to possibly a referendum. So we're going to have to get back to the Board of Selectmen. It probably will be with this board, so you may have another special meeting. Whoopee, I know you're really happy about that. But we will
And you
see,
were all saying goodbye.
we will see as we go along what the next step is on this petition.
Thank you. So you'll get back to us as soon as we'll let everyone know.
Within the next week, yes.
Okay.
So Jerry, just a point so I understand. I mean, they're asking for an ordinance. I mean, this is really not an ordinance the way the town treats ordinances.
That is one of Sandy, that is one of the main questions that I'm looking at. The state statute also limits types of ordinances that the town could pass. And there is a question as to whether this is an appropriate way to have this accomplished. So you're absolutely correct. It's kind of the first time I've seen something like this being requested to be an ordinance. But we will look at it again. But that's a great point.
Just to be specific, Jerry, are they asking for the ordinance on one part of it? Is it to protect the property? Is that the only piece of the ordinance, or is the clubhouse and banquet also? That seems to be a little strange, but
that's another good question. It looks like there are two issues in this sentence that they have there, and the question is: are they asking for two different things? One combined, and I really can't tell from what they're saying, but it does look like they're asking for two things. They were asking for a sale of the country clubhouse and 5 acres, and then they're also asking, in addition to that, for the conservation easement on the remaining 147 acres at the country club, at the CCW.
And would that portion, is that portion something that ordinance would apply to? If it was just that portion? or no?
Are you saying, would an ordinance be appropriate to say that the town is going to put a conservation easement on the 147 acres?
Yes.
That is a question. Sandy's point is, what is that an appropriate ordinance? Is generally an ordinance has general applicability for the whole town, not specific with regard to one particular issue. It's a general kind of mandate that goes into our code. This seems to be creating a possible ordinance for one parcel of land in town, and there really could be some substantial questions as to whether even that's appropriate. There's also a question whether the first part of the ordinance is also appropriate. But it's premature now for me to really make a final decision. As I said, we're still looking at this, and we will get back to certainly Beth and probably the rest of the board within another week or so.
Thank you.
Thank you. I did receive a call yesterday from Jim Urbano, who I believe was one of the people who put this together, and he was wondering what we were going to do. And I never got back to him. It was just late in the day yesterday. So publicly stating that he wanted to voice his support for this. So I'm passing that along to you all, and wait to see. Okay, so we'll wait to hear from you, Jerry. Thank you so much. Okay, anything else from anyone on that number A? Okay, moving on to number B, discussion regarding the Verizon application to the Connecticut Siting Council with action as appropriate. I see Attorney Ira Bloom has joined us. Welcome.
Ira has joined us, and he and I have been talking the last couple of days because there is some activity on the cell tower issue at the Siting Council itself. And Ira has been doing some research, and the question for the board tonight is whether the town of Woodbridge becomes a participant in the ongoing Siting Council proceeding. We understand that the neighbors, a group of neighbors surrounding the proposed siting tower, have retained counsel. Also have a request of us about the consultant that we have, Ira, who is retained by the town. I'm going to turn it over to Ira to give you a rundown of what's going on. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe, Ira, you can explain for the public that's tuning in as well that we did get where we are, that we received notice that they moved forward, all of it. So from the beginning, thank you.
Okay, you can hear me okay
Yes.
now?
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you and good evening, members of the board. My name is Ira Bloom, and I've been retained by the town to assist with this cell tower application. So just by way of quick summary, we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago with the town's consultant, Dave Maxson, somebody that I had retained. Our office had used him before. And we met with Mr. Baldwin and his consultant, and Mr. Maxson had reviewed some sites, some proposed sites. And we had a long meeting. We went over all those sites, shared our information with Verizon, with the hope that they would find some of them acceptable. Basically, at that meeting, they did not find them acceptable. So that did not produce any concrete results, except I will say that after we did all that, they did advise us that they are reducing the height of the tower to 100 feet, down from 140. So that is one notable positive sign there. So we have that in hand already. Shortly after that, the petition was filed by Verizon with the Connecticut Siting Council. So now the official process starts. As Jerry pointed out, we were advised just 2 days ago, I believe, that some of the neighbors had retained Attorney Ainsworth. He's a prominent attorney in this field. And then we were advised that they were prepared to retain Mr. Maxon, same Mr. Maxon that we had worked with. If that's the case, if that's how they prefer to handle it, then candidly, then it'll be their burden pretty much to put on whatever testimony they need through Mr. Maxon. The town really can't proceed if it doesn't have its expert. So we can loop back and discuss that a bit more. In the meantime, I've been in touch with the executive director of the Siding Council. Her name is Melanie Bachman, and she's been the executive director for considerable time, and we've worked with her over the years. So I discussed a little bit about the timing, et cetera, et cetera. Basically, the town has realistically two options, two filing options with the Connecticut Siding Council. They can file for party status, or they can file for intervenor status. There are some differences. As a municipality where the tower is being proposed, you have the right to be named a full party, and that gives the town the option, but not the obligation, to participate fully. We could decide how much is appropriate or how little is appropriate, but you would have those full options. You'd have rights to appeal, to cross-examine, et cetera. Now, Jerry and I have been discussing this, and it could be that the town will take a little bit of a back seat here in view of the fact that the neighbors have retained the consultant now and have a lawyer experience in this, and we may want to just play back up a bit and decide how or when or if we do participate. But the party status will give the options to the town, and that's what I recommend. There's something else called intervenor status, and it's close, but not quite the same as party status. And the Siding Council can limit what you do, what you bring up as an intervenor. I don't really see the point in doing that, so I'm going to suggest that we stick with the party status. Now, full disclosure, I was advised by Ms. Bachman today that to get on their next agenda, the filing had to be today. It was a simple letter, and I sent that anticipating and hoping that the board would say, yes, file for party status. If you decide not to, I can certainly withdraw that. But I don't really recommend that. So I did file a letter asking that we get that party status. That'll be on an agenda for June 15. The filing deadline was late today, she told me, or early tomorrow. And that should be granted. So then we'll have that status. After that, it really depends how we want to approach this, whether we want to take any sort of lead. Frankly, we can't do that very effectively if we no longer have our expert at our disposal. So we'll talk about that, I assume. There is a hearing scheduled on this filing for July 13th. There's a 2 o'clock evidentiary portion of it, and then there's a later portion, I think it begins at 6:30, for public comment. And in the past, before COVID, they would come to the community and have that first hearing in town. Right now, they're scheduling this as a remote hearing on July 13th. So there's a first opportunity at that point to make any statements, et cetera, and we can address that further, maybe even as we get closer. So that's the first relevant date. And so I've explained the party status. And I think that brings you up to date. I guess the discussion tonight, Jerry and I feel it should be on what activities, and I'll add, if any, should the town undertake right now, in view of the fact that the neighbors now have their own counsel and are about to retain Dave Maxon, our former, I'll say, consultant.
Can I say one thing, two real quick things before the board starts a discussion? The thing is, Ira called me this afternoon and said he had some conversations, as he stated, with the Siting Council Executive Director, who said that we needed to file the appearance by today to get on the agenda. It wasn't a critical time. I'm sure we could have done it after today, but we wanted to make sure we got it in. I called Beth, and she thought it was wise of us to get it done today. I knew we were meeting tonight, so the board can, authorize Ira to, or ratify Ira's action of filing that appearance. If, as he said, for some reason or the board doesn't want to do it, I'm sure we can always withdraw that. The second issue is about our consultant. I received a call from two individuals who live in the area who are taking an active role in hiring counsel and also in hiring the consultant. They told me 2 days ago, or a day ago, that they had been in contact with Mr. Maxim, our consultant, who the town retained for the past several weeks, maybe months. He's been working for us. But they said they've talked to him, and he said that he would be willing to work for them if the town released him as our consultant. It's a little bit strange situation. I don't think I've seen that before, and I think that Ira agrees that it's a little unusual, but that's what it is. So I said I'd have to talk to the board. I would recommend, and I think Ira agrees, that this little group is going to hire their own counsel, their own consultant, take a very, very active role, and they're willing to continue with financing our consultant. So I think there's something the board should seriously consider. And we can release him, and we can work in conjunction with his efforts and the efforts of private counsel that has been retained by the homeowners group. So that's what I just wanted to add and I think we can open it up for discussion.
I'd like to just begin with making a statement that I've over the past several months since it started, I believe it was last summer, July, whenever, I've found just personally, Verizon has been less than forthcoming. They've been dismissive to the town of Woodbridge. I've been personally frustrated by the lack of cooperation that I felt they've given us when we've asked them for things. Every single site we've given them, they've dismissed. Perhaps that was what I felt as if that it was a foregone conclusion that this was going to happen. And I, at this point, feel that we need to, I personally would like to advocate that we as a board could come up with the best effective way, and I would look to council to tell us the best effective way to continue to help these neighbors and fight this as best we can, either I'm willing to go and testify as on behalf of the board with a letter written by the board, from myself personally as well. But I just really want to just continue to make the case that this is it's just been extremely frustrating for me. It's a tough situation because it is really in the middle of a residential neighborhood. It's not as if it's up on a hill and I kind of wonder if they've really looked at all these sites completely. I hope they have and that they can sleep at night, but I don't know. Okay, with that, I'll turn it over to Sandy. Thank you.
So that is my first question. We made a lot of suggestions about sites. Did our consultant that the neighbors now want to hire, did he do any analysis of which would be the best sites that might have the same specifications that are needed for a 100-foot tower, now not 140 feet, that could be presented to the siting council? I mean, what work did this consultant do for us? Can someone explain that to me?
Would you want?
Yeah, I can try. We gave him all of the information. I gave him all the information. I had all the suggestions for other sites.
Sure.
He looked at all of those. What he could not get were any of the analyses completed by Verizon. They would not provide that at that time. I do believe that through interrogatories through the Connecticut Siting Council that we should be able to get that information. Certainly entitled to see what their internal studies, analyses say. We didn't have that. So to some extent, he was operating without full information, but all the different sites, Jerry and I think, accumulated. We provided them to Dave Maxon, and he plotted them out. We had, and it was kind of a sort of almost a question and answer kind of session we had via remote meeting here, Zoom or otherwise. And he proposed various sites, and at each point, the consultant for Verizon basically said, that's not going to work. That's not going to work, and that's not going to work. I think he was, to some degree, not to some degree, he was certainly handicapped to some extent because he couldn't see their data at that point. So he had to take it at face value. Having said that, what I've learned over the years is that they've done this work, Verizon, with these, with consultants who are experienced, with an attorney, Mr. Baldwin, who's extremely experienced in this area, and they usually know what they're doing. They usually prepare pretty well, and they eventually do present all that information and data to the siting council. They know what they're doing, and their track record, their winning record is, very, very high. So I'm just suggesting that when we get it, we shouldn't think, oh, well, something will necessarily jump out. It could, I guess, but they usually know what they're doing. But at the preliminary meeting, all of this was analyzed by our consultant, and we had a back and forth, and they were not willing to go beyond that and say, well, all right, we'll do this or that. I think they actually might have done one additional analysis, and then they got back to us shortly thereafter and said none of that worked for them.
So can I summarize in a way to say that if we had the specifications that Verizon has in terms of what this new tower will accomplish, that we could then compare the transmission, the frequencies, all of this information from, let's say, 2 or 3 of the best options that were proposed, so that the siting council could then see the comparison of what Verizon is actually getting now, especially since it's lower, and 2 or 3 of the top sites that the town has put forward through the residents, through the staff, through others.
Yeah, yes, I think that's the goal, that we would look at their data and then compare it to other sites that we would prefer and present that to the siting council. I think it probably will still happen. It may now happen through the neighbors and their team, consisting of Keith Ainsworth, their lawyer, I'm told, and still Mr. Maxon. So that could be fine. You've got still the experienced professionals there, and then the town would be supportive, would make appropriate statements, and we would try to assist in any way. But it kind of sounds like the lead role will be taken now by the neighbors with the consultant and their lawyer.
Just to follow up, I think that IRU will be working hand in hand with their lawyer. But the one thing we don't want to do is duplicate work. I mean, they're going to be hiring somebody, spending money. They're going to have our consultant. And while we're going to be working with them, we don't want to go off on our own little area and try and duplicate what they're doing. Of course, if we had some disagreements with them, we would, of course, voice them and raise it. But I think a cooperation and a joint effort is the best way to serve the town and the neighbors.
And this model of who takes the lead is not uncommon. I mean, it's often owners of the private homes surrounding a proposed location that do take the lead. They have the most directly at stake, I would say. And so it's perfectly appropriate to do it like this.
You've seen this many times, as you mentioned, and it's in the companies seem to win most of the time, a large percentage of the time. is there anything that we've seen or you've seen or our consultant has seen in this case that provides some degree of, for lack of a better word, hope in terms of it's something that says that there is still an opportunity for us to do something? Because certainly I've gotten the same sense that Beth outlined, that Verizon's had a plan right from the get-go, and there was really never any real opportunity to change that. And if they do, when they do provide their data, is there enough time to then do the analysis that would have to be done to compare that to alternatives that we may have been looking at, or is it limited?
Oh, I suspect to answer the last question that there will be enough time. You know, that some of this will be now out of our control if we're not. If we have no expert, so you really can't do much of anything. We'll be relying upon calling them the neighbors and their expert, our former expert, but their new expert to do this. I think the time normally works out. There is enough time to analyze it and all that. So I'm not that concerned about running out of time as long as they act promptly at this point. Does anything jump out? Candidly, no, not yet. You know, this is a matter of looking at the various studies, the various RF studies. They'll put in information about need. They'll show where the gaps are. And are there any environmental or wetland issues? I know that's something that Mr. Ainsworth is very experienced in. So perhaps they'll even look for other consultants too, along those lines. So that's how it'll go. And then if the town will then have an alternate site or two to propose, typically. And then the siting council will have to see, does it fill the need? They have to show need. We have a site that substantially fills that need, then we've got something to say. I say we, you know, between the neighbors and the town.
Understood.
But they do their homework. They know how to do this after decades. I go back, I think, to like 2001 or so with the tower in Westport with Mr. Baldwin and Verizon. So they know what they're doing, and they usually have the data in hand before they go forward.
So if I can just say, Mika, I don't think, Ira mentioned this, and I don't think it's insignificant. Through Ira's efforts, Beth's efforts, and the neighbors' efforts, certainly persistence, they have reduced the tower by almost a third in size. And I don't look at that as insignificant. Of course, it is not enough, and it's not fully acceptable, but there has been a little bit of progress made, you know, and hopefully significantly more progress can be made as we go along.
So are there two issues before us? One, whether we will release our consultant so that the neighbor group can hire him. And then the second is, do we endorse the filing for party status that Ira went ahead and did today?
Correct. Yeah, and we would need a motion on each one, and we would need it to be approved.
Yeah, before we do that, maybe I'll ask if there are any of the other selectmen want to comment or ask questions from Ira or Jerry on this. Joe Dye, Joe Crisco, Dwight.
No.
Okay. All right, thank you. Go ahead, Sandy.
I think I'd like to say that I think it's important that we have at least party status, because I think it's important for the town to make an official statement and to identify how we attempted to work with Verizon, and yet really were put at a significant disadvantage because they would not share the data that they were using from that site. And that may be the best site, but it doesn't mean that there aren't other sites that would be 90% of that or 80% of that that should be considered. And I think that that would help everyone to really understand that, given the extent to which suggestions were made. And I think that has to be part of the formal record.
Mhm.
Correct. Good.
I agree. I won't say it again, except to just say that I did feel quite frustrated, and it was almost as if every time we submitted something, there was a pat answer saying it's not going to work. Period. And it was extremely frustrating and disappointing. So I would like to. I do agree with you, Sandy, that at least the submitting the party status is something that we should think about. I would vote to do that. It's obviously up to the full board. So. Anything else? Would someone like to make a motion for either one of these or both? We have to do them individually, correct?
I'm sorry, say again?
We have to do them individually, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so
I'll make a motion that we move towards party or to obtain party status on this. And I don't know if there's additional information, Jerry, that you require in part of the motion.
No, I think that's okay just to approve and ratify the filing of an appearance by Attorney Bloom in behalf of the town as party status in the citing council matter.
That's just exactly.
Thank you. I want to do more than I want to do as much as we can.
Right.
Thank you. I think we all feel that way. It's been very, very bad. Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays?
Aye.
Any abstentions? I believe that motion passes unanimously. The second motion is to, I guess, release. I don't know how I would say it, Ira, legally.
Why don't I give it to you? I just wrote it down.
Great, Jerry.
All right, good. Thanks, Jerry.
The town is authorized to issue a release of David Maxon as the town's consultant in the Verizon Siting Council matter, so that Mr. Maxon can continue his work as a consultant in behalf of the neighbors in the location of the proposed cell tower.
Thank you. I'll make that motion as stated by Jerry. So Sandy seconds.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 One. Aye. And Jerry, just to make sure, just to be absolutely clear, this was a request by the neighbors, correct?
Correct. It was a request by the neighbor, a neighbor who has been actively involved, and they formed a little executive committee that is working on this. And they told me, she actually sent me an email just before the meeting asking me whether we will release the person, and I said I would bring it up at tonight's meeting.
Thank you.
That's all I need.
They will keep us. They will keep us in the loop or somehow communicate with you, Jerry, I guess, every step of the way.
Yes.
So we know what they're doing and asking us how we can help clearly. Inform, Okay, Sandy, you want to say something else? Sorry.
Did we finish our vote?
No, we're having a discussion. We haven't voted
Okay.
yet on this one.
So, and this may not be for this vote, but for discussion afterwards, that's up to you. But a number of the residents in the public comments that were made suggestions about things that the town could do. And I guess my question is, in what way, shape, or form will we take up those suggestions and determine and work with the neighbor group to make sure that whatever we can do, we do?
I would ask the attorneys to tell us how much we're allowed to do or what we should do on that.
I'm not sure what the suggestions were, but I do think you ought to work closely with the neighbors and with their attorney. I was going to say after the vote that I'll talk to Jerry, and one of us should be reaching out to Keith Ainsworth soon.
Good.
And find out what his plans are. I don't know, perhaps he hasn't had time to focus on this yet, or maybe he has. He hasn't filed a request for party status either as of earlier today.
Ira, you didn't get the, we can have Mrs. Shaw send you all of the packet with these 13 letters, et cetera, to to for
Okay.
my guess, if
Yeah.
you choose.
I don't think I got that.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I'd be curious.
okay,
Um,
so just so you have some idea, it has to do with the landscaping. It has to do with the access, and that the access should be through the owner's property, not through Soundview Road. Since it's their property, why not, have the access through their property? So it's things like that. And do we need, what can we do to set some standards or enforce some ways that, this will actually happen for the town?
Yeah, well, those are important, and you, the town, will have an opportunity, and conceivably as early as July 13 to make those suggestions. I get suggestions, but I guess there's a little bit of strategy here that
Yes.
has to be discussed. Are we ready to get to that level? It's almost, that's almost like phase 2. If we can
Right.
find a better site, and
Right.
we'll push on that. If it looks like we're not coming up with anything, then you say, all right, well then we want to, change a few things about this site and bring those up. And you can argue in the alternative too, to the council, so they know where you stand.
Okay. I just want to make sure that the Board of Selectmen stays close to this issue, since I think it is such a volatile issue for the town. And I think it's, the neighbors deserve a lot of credit for organizing in this fashion and being willing to push forward. But I think we need to do what's necessary to back them up.
Yep.
Good. Thank you.
I'll confer with Sherry, and we'll come up with a strategy to accomplish that.
Okay. Hopefully we'll stay on it. I intend to. I can assure you of that, Sandy. Thank you. And I'm sure the new board will too. Okay. Thank you. Any other comments before I call the question? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I hear Joe out there, Joe Dye.
Hi, yep, I was.
Okay, I'm sorry, Joe. Okay, thank you. I can see hands on everyone else. Thank you. Okay, any nays or abstentions? I think it was unanimous. It is. Okay, wonderful. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Ira, and
Thank you, Ira.
on that one.
All right, Jerry, I'll be in touch. Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Ira.
You as well.
Thanks.
Take care. And with that, we now move to last item on the agenda, item 13, which is executive session pursuant to section 1-200-68, 1-210B4, regarding litigation discussion, regarding an appeal to Superior Court from the Zoning Board of Appeals. I will invite into executive session, obviously, the full board, Attorney Weiner and Administrative Officer Tony Genovese. Anyone else I need in, Jerry?
No, no, that's it.
Okay. So we will ask.
It's about property at 999 Racebrook Road.
Correct. I didn't know if I could say that because it wasn't on the agenda. So
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
all righty. My apologies. Okay, thank you for that amendment to the agenda. So I will make that motion. Did we do a second?
Second.
Thank you, Joe. Any further discussion on that? Is there all in favor signify by saying aye?
Hi.
Thank you. And that we will ask Pua to turn off the camera. Thank you very much. We are now out of executive session. I will report that there were no motions made, no votes taken during the executive session. And I will turn it over to Attorney Weiner to give us a brief recommendation, please.
So the proposed motion, and Jerry Shaw, I will get this to you in writing tomorrow if it's approved by the board. The Board of Selectmen.
Thank you.
The Board of Selectmen approves a settlement regarding a zoning board of appeals appeal to the Superior Court concerning property at 999 Racebrook Road, Woodbridge. And the settlement shall be in accordance with Attorney Perito's letter to me, Gerald Weiner, dated March 11th, 2021. together with an additional requirement that the owners of the property remove the tub and shower presently located in the old section of the residence. I think I have it, but if anybody has any suggestions, please let me know.
I'll move that motion as described by Attorney Weiner. Is there a second?
Second.
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 Third, fourth, okay, we're all good. Any other comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. I think it's unanimous. Any nays or abstentions just in case out there? Hearing none. The motion is passed. And now I will entertain a non-debatable motion from Joe Dye to adjourn.
So moved.
My final one.
Thank
So
you.
moved.
Yeah, there you go. You had to get you in there, man. You've been the longest serving member of everybody who's leaving. But it sounds like we might have another meeting coming up, so see you soon. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you, guys. Have a good rest of the evening and see you maybe in a week. Take care. Thank you for
Good night,
tuning in.
everyone.
Good night.
Bye-bye.